This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top questions and struggles. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your thoughts so you can get the energy and the vitality you want in this second and better half. In this special Summer Inspire series, I've handpicked some super inspiring women and one man. If you missed my most recent episode, be sure to go download that inspiring story about someone near and dear to my heart. And today's guest is no less inspiring. She's Dorthy Miller Shore. Dorothy serves as board chair and managing partner for primewomen.com, which, by the way, if you've not visited, you're going to want to go there next. It's an online magazine for professional women over 50. Prime now reaches over 150,000 women globally. Previously, she was founder and CEO of Miller Ad Agency, a 33-year-old nationally known automotive and digital advertising agency. Her agency has won dozens of awards for creative excellence and, under her tenure, the largest woman-owned automotive agency in the U.S. Dorothy now serves as chairman of the board for Miller. I had a hand hitting the forehead moment after a recent meeting with Dorothy, as I'm a contributor for Prime Women. I realized she's the perfect fit for this summer series in so many ways. So my mission here is to introduce you, my audience, to both Dorothy and to primewomen.com. Dorothy, thank you so much for taking time to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, so we're going to dive into so many different things. I'm actually really excited about this selfishly because I want to learn a little bit more about you. But I would love to know a little backstory about Prime Women. I think it's so relative that you're here heading that because we've got a lot in common, I think, with our mission. So what is the mission and how was Prime Women born?
It was born about probably a little over 4 years ago now, where it actually became, where the thought came up. Valerie Freeman, who's one of the four partners, there are four partners in this, and Valerie and I are great friends, as are the other two as well. But we happened to be skiing up in Jackson Hole, and we were having lunch at the Four Seasons and getting ready to join three other women who are part of a mastermind group we had. So we're sitting there. I think it was Valerie who said, we really should do something together. We're all business owners. We're all getting at that stage where we're kind of winding down on those, or we're bored with them would be a better way to put it. What could we all do together? And so we're sitting there talking. I said, well, everything is got to be digital anymore. So, and my background with advertising, that, I said, let's do something digital because that's kind of where it is. So we started talking, and we both were just lamenting why there is nothing out there that really was aimed at women over 50. More Magazine, when they first launched, it was with great fanfare, and we were all so excited because they were going to be for the older woman. And they quickly started skewing younger. It just was clear right off the bat. And I really think it was advertisers, because I think at that time they really weren't very educated in the way they were buying. Now everybody realizes, what a great market we are, but they started skewing younger. And of course, I'm sure you do know that they no longer exist as an online magazine. I mean, as a printed magazine. They do have an online version now, but it's gone way young now, much, much younger. So anyway, we were just, saying, so why isn't somebody writing to us? I mean, we're important. We have money. We're active. We have a lot more money than those younger kids. So why aren't you talking to us? So we're like, well, maybe we should start something. So we went in to talk to our three other mastermind members. This is just a group of women that they were called mastermind groups, where you basically get together once a month and you would get together and talk about your business. Now, we had moved way beyond that, and we were just good friends. Most of us weren't even really running our businesses by then, or at least we weren't in the day-to-day management. So we just become good friends. So we went in and we threw the idea out there, and one, who Diane Patterson, by the way, who is a partner, said, "Oh, I don't really want to spend any time on it, but hey, I'll give money, no problem." Now, it's turned out she has spent a lot of time, so she's actually ended up loving it, but she didn't think she would. The other two, because of various things going on in their lives, said, "No, I really can't do that." Especially one, she's very, very busy and travels a lot and has got her own career, and she passed. And the other one said, "No, I don't think you have any idea how much work that's going to be." And of course, that was a very telling comment. But then we invited our friend Jan, our British friend, to join us, and she did. So that's really kind of how it got started. And, we really didn't know. I don't know if we had some naive idea that we were going to write everything initially. And I fortunately had an epiphany and said, wait a minute, why don't we go out and get experts who would like to be a part of this and write for us? And so anyway, about a year later, we got launched. And so here we are. So finally, we're seeing that we are going to be successful. We're pretty excited.
It's really exciting. So 150,000 women.
Yes. Worldwide. Yeah.
Globally. I love that. So you're really, I could have you on so many ways. I might want to share this with my fitness professional audience, because I love the way you did this and the passion in it, but you also stopped and said, okay, does this make sense? And how do we not work ourselves to death doing it? Let's do this smarter.
Yes.
And there's such a spin. So when I visit, the first time I visited and had connected with you, there is so evidently this energy about who we are, who we want to be. We're so not done. It's just
right.
How do we do it now in our life better? So how does that sit with you? Who's Dorothy, and how active are you?
Well, I'm very active. I am 67. I'll be 68 this fall. And I'm in really good shape. I have great genes. I will just tell you right off, I have really excellent genes. So I've got that going for me, but also I'm very fit. I've always been very athletic. So I'm still skiing. I'm still doing downhill skiing. And, my friend Valerie and I, we jumped off a 26-foot rock last year up in Jackson Hole into the water, which maybe wasn't the smartest idea considering neither of us have great bone density. But, we don't see ourselves as old at all. I mean, we're young, we're vibrant, we work out, we take good care of ourselves. I would say that my biggest change in the way I treat my body now is I am just a stickler about what I put in my body. I've always worked out. I've been working out forever. I mean, when aerobics came along, oh man, I was into aerobics. I was doing aerobics 3 nights a week, and the dance and all of that sort of stuff. I mean, back when Zumba came on the scene, I was doing Zumba. I've just always been very active, but I can't say that I really watched my diet as much until I've gotten particularly into my 60s, I think. I start realizing just what a difference what you put in makes and how you feel. So that's been a big, big change for me. And like I said, I feel very young. I don't even feel 50. I really don't. I mean, even though I have a little bit of arthritis from an autoimmune disease, it's something I've been able to handle really well with occasionally with some medication. So I just don't feel old. So therefore, why would I, behave old? So Prime Amendment is a real passion that we have. We're really excited about it. We're doing an event in London. It'll be our first one. And that's going to be a really special event for about 100 women there at a place called Grace Belgravia, which is a real high-end club, which is a fitness place, spa, the whole 9 yards. And we've got some really exciting partners, which I can't tell you about yet, and coming up with that. And then we're having a big event in Dallas in January. So anyway, it's all very exciting. But that's one piece of my life. But I also worked on a master's while I started this magazine on top of it. I got a master's in Christian apologetics, and I have just started a book written for teens. It's a fiction book, but going to be set in the spiritual world. And so I'll be weaving my Christian apologetics in it. And so, yeah, I work more now than I ever did. My husband will tell you that any day of the week. He says I work harder now than I did when I was running a company. And I think it's true. But when you're doing something you're really excited about, and I've got two projects I'm really excited about, you don't think of it as work, do you?
No, you don't. Right. So what about him? Does he still work?
Yes, he does. My husband didn't win the gene lottery. So he's not quite as good a health. He's 3 years older than me, but he's had lots of issues, but he's working on them. He really is. He's really now trying to watch his diet. His company, his son took over. By the way, my son-in-law and daughter, mainly my son-in-law, my daughter, she runs part of it as well, but really my son-in-law, they run my company, and his son took over his company. Now he still goes to the office some every day though. He really does, but he's not particularly active. He can walk about 30 minutes a day, and that's about it in terms of any real fitness. He has to kind of watch all that because he does have a heart issue. So not like I said, didn't win the lottery pool, gene lottery pool there. So
got it. Okay, so here's a great question for you, and I'm going to rephrase it, I think, from what I originally hinted at. But what's your definition of aging well?
I think aging well is really about doing the best you can with what you have, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, if exercise hasn't been a priority for you and you want to age well, wow, you better be all over that, because, I think that movement,
right there.
moving your body is just so key. You stop moving your body and you're in trouble. I mean, everything's going to start shutting down on you. Everything, especially, the older you get, the more truth there is in that. There's studies after studies. The more active you are, the better your brain functions. You're less likely to get Alzheimer's or dementia, and you're going to have less heart issues. All of those things make such a big difference. So moving your body, and starting wherever you are, fitness level is it's imperative. It's just imperative that you do that. And that may just be a walking program, a slow walking program to start. But eventually getting to where you can do a lot more, especially in terms of stretching and things like being able to balance yourself, because that's going to help you a lot with if you start to fall, because falling is one of the most serious things. And really that starts for women over 60, by the way. Falling starts becoming a huge problem. And women that are fit, even though you may still start to fall, you're going to have the strength to catch yourself and you're not going down. And so I'm a big believer in taking care of your body. So that fitness thing. And then, like I said, what I've added in the last less than, probably 10 years is watching what I eat, not from a weight necessarily. I'm also pretty blessed there. I kind of stay at the same weight. I don't pack on pounds, but it's more about just, knowing that eating lots of vegetables, probably 2 and 3 times what I used to eat in vegetables. I've always liked fruit, but you don't need but maybe 1 fruit a day or 2 at the most, but you need tons of vegetables. You really do. So watching all of that, to me, aging well, like I said, is about being healthy. You can't age well if you're not healthy. The rest of it doesn't matter. Sure, you can certainly get plastic surgery and all those sorts of things, and I'm sure not opposed. I've done my share of that because I like to look good too. But that to me isn't so much about aging well as fitness and diet, taking care of your body. That's aging well.
I love it. Yeah, wow. And you are well schooled, lady. So I love it. Okay, we could just kind of dive into all of this and talk all afternoon, I think. But one thing that you said that kind of brought the attention back to, this is reality for all of us listening. Flipping 50, so many of my audience, probably more, are between 50 and 60. Still, some are between 60 and 70, and some are older than that. And, bringing that back to risk of falls begin to increase in our 60s. There are a lot of studies that will show that if you're out there and you don't have a lot of ankle mobility and stability, it actually happens in late 40s and 50.
Yes.
Women who have not got that ankle mobility. So when you think about it, it makes total sense, but we don't think about it. We think about knees and hips because we feel those parts, but that's your foundation. So, if you're sitting there listening right now, if you are sitting, start rolling your ankles around. Just little things, even daily, are really good for keeping those ankles in shape. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Just a side note on that one. So is there something, you may have hinted at it, but is there anything about aging that does bother you? You don't sound to me like you're letting anything catch up with you. You're way ahead.
Well, of course, we all have, the few things, with aging that are just bothersome. Of course, you hate the loose skin. I'm like, when will they come up with something to tighten your skin? I think that's going to be stem cell that they're going to inject us. But anyway, that's one thing I just hate. Ugh. And of course, you do get up in the morning and you're a little stiff. Used to, you didn't, you weren't stiff at all. But, you get up, you're just a little stiff. But, you walk around and you get rid of it and it's fine. Those are things that bother me. I've been fortunate because I haven't lost hair, though I do have a little bit but I have a ton of hair on my head. So I have a little bit of loss that's kind of receding kind of on either side. That's sort of an inherited thing, but I have a lot of hair, so it hides it. But I know a lot of women deal with that, and I think that's it.
But then there's the opposite. Not to interrupt, but there's the opposite, right? Are you gaining hair? And you don't have to go there, but women are sometimes like, this wasn't there yesterday.
True.
How did that get there?
True. Getting hair where they didn't want hair.
Right,
I haven't dealt with that, but I do know women talk about that. Yeah, that they're suddenly getting, a mustache or something,
right.
So those are things that none of us like, but, fortunately there's so much out there to take care of all that, so there's lots of ways to take care of it, and I'm a big believer in maintenance. I mean, I just came back from my monthly facial, because, I've just learned too, that's another thing I've learned, that it's defensive. Getting a facial once a month, I'm set up on a program where I get a really reduced rate. Getting a facial every month has just done wonders for my skin and complexion.
I love that.
Yeah, just maintenance things,
Anything else? What about massage? Something else you do?
Oh, yeah. I don't do massage as much as a lot of people. I don't like massage. I'd much rather have a facial, but I do try to get a massage, I would say at least once a quarter. Now, sometimes I'll get them more often, which is odd that you should say that. I'm getting one tomorrow. Because my neck is bothering me from the way I sleep. And so I'll be going in for a massage. But no, I'm hearing that I need to get more massages. And I'm hearing and reading that to help release the toxins and stuff in the body. And so I may start scheduling that more as well.
Okay. So you've recently got a master's. You've started this new magazine. So, and this is in your later 60s. What's in the horizon for your 70s? What are you going to do then? How are you going to top this?
I think with Prime Women, who knows? I mean, I assume we'll be keeping that, but you never know. I mean, you get a certain size and someone comes along and buys you out. You never know. So I can't predict what that's going to happen. I think we're years away from that. I think I'll be well in my 70s before anything like that happens. Because right now it's really just fun. It's great fun. We're finally getting to that point where we're succeeding, and that's becoming fun. It's been a lot of work and a lot of struggle, because I really did worry that, we had launched something that it's just never going to happen, but it's finally turning that corner. So I'm hoping Prime Women will stay a part of my life well into my 70s. But I am going to not only write this one book, I'll probably be writing a series. I'm also speaking some more. I'm speaking tomorrow night to a group of young women for our church. I'm going to talk to them about career. That's kind of my segment of this evening. And I'm also doing a monthly program at my home starting the fall, again, for women in faith. And it's going to be called Living Free. And so anyway, I got lots of stuff going, just lots of stuff.
Yes, you do. So tell me this. So you've alluded to good genes, and yet, lucky you, but to listeners out there, there's so much research that can tell us your environment can actually influence even more than genetics if you weren't dealt that great hand. So you've got everything going for you so far, because I can hear the great environment you have and the people you surround yourself with. How important has faith been in all of that?
Did you say my faith?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's been very, very important to me. I don't know how much it impacts. Of course, it's hard to know how much that might impact your health. But in terms of dealing with stress, I think it's huge. And so that does impact your health. And I've led a pretty stressful life, having been a business owner for 30 some years, and then launching a brand new deal. And, we didn't really have hardly any employees, just some part-time people, lots of stress on me because I'm suddenly doing things I hadn't had to do in 25 years. Very stressful, but my faith really helps all of that, because it helps me put it in perspective, that, this isn't the end game. This isn't eternal. As much as I love Prime Women, it's not eternal. And so it helps me stay grounded in everything I do, and realize that just having a relationship, with eternal God, that you have something there that is just more important than anything else. And with that, you're able to be freer. And that's why I'm calling this whole series, it's actually Women Living Free. I'm just breaking it down and I have a website, Deborah. It'll be going up. I own that URL. I've owned it for years. But I'm calling this monthly series that I'm doing at home, just Living Free, because I really do feel like it's what helps me live free. And that is be willing to take chances, step out there and do things I wouldn't dream of doing, because I have no fear of failing. Mm-hmm. Because reality is that doesn't define me. If I fail at this, that does not define me. And it's in the doing that we enjoy and have fun. So if we can just focus on the doing and not so much the end result, you can enjoy everything in your life, even the hard stuff, because you can, hey, I'm learning. I'm not going to focus on the end, because the end isn't the most critical thing. The most critical thing is what I'm doing right now, this moment, because it's all I've got anyway. None of us are promised tomorrow. So it frees you to enjoy the now and enjoy the process, and, just leave the outcome, for what it'll be, So.
Yeah. And I'm getting chills while we're talking. There's, some things happen for a reason, as we are doing this right now. So by the time we post it, you all will know this is a recording. We celebrated the 1-year anniversary of a young family member's death. So he was killed tragically at 35. And everything you just said, is really reshaped so many of us who've grown together, as friends and family in a tighter way. But it certainly puts an entire different perspective on life and what's important.
Yes.
Love that.
Absolutely.
And then you mentioned stress and how your faith has connected you, which I think is so relative to people who don't feel old, people who stay young at heart and thrive. I think a piece of that is beating down stress or figuring out how do you navigate that well. So tell me, is there something that's, your go-to aside from your faith? Is there a tangible action? If you're having a stressful day, what is it that you make sure keeps you from letting that get to you?
Well, I think for me, for some people they can call it meditation. I mean, I do think there's something about calming your spirit down, and, I know lots of people are big into yoga. I've done yoga off and on, and I do like yoga, but I'm kind of a higher, I like to be doing something a little more active, but I am learning to do a little more yoga. But I get the whole idea of just calming yourself down with meditation. And for me, that's prayer, is I just calm myself down and I get still. And again, you go back to that, what we're talking about, you go back to, okay, this is temporary. This is not eternal. And so I'm just going to stop here a minute. I'm going to take a breath. And then I'm going to focus on what I can do. And I'm not going to worry about what I can't fix. And I think that's what always makes the stress is we can only control our actions and what we have in our control. And when we accept that this is what I'm responsible for, this is what I can control, I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to let the rest go. But that takes pulling everything in and getting centered. And like I said, for me, that's prayer. But I think for a lot of people, that may just be meditation, just something pulls them in, quiets their spirit. And I think that is the best way to handle stress. And of course, getting out and go for a fast walk or run or whatever you're capable of doing, exercise really helps too.
Well, of course, you got to say that, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I was looking for that, just hearing that you are active. So love those tips. Fantastic. I've got a question now. So I can hear the people that you're friends with, the people who you also do business with, and there's a lot of support and common thinking there. But do you ever catch yourself now, you're 67, you're a young thinker. Do you ever find yourself in the midst of swimming upstream, getting more resistance with maybe others around you willing to settle?
I've been really good with my friend selection because I think I am surrounded by women who think like I do and who are, none of us are going, okay, well, this is it. I don't want to keep on doing this. I mean, for the most part. Now, granted, there's some that are kind of saying, okay, wrap up. This is a wrap. I'm moving, I'm done with work and I'm done with all that. But I find that at least the people I'm around, they don't do that. They're engaged. They're interested. They want to do and try new things. And I don't find myself really swimming upstream because I'm not surrounding myself with those kind of people.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So nutrition, you've talked a little bit about fruits, vegetables, the importance of that. Can we go down this path? Are you vegan? Are you flexitarian? What are you?
No. None of that. No. I eat a very balanced, healthy diet. I mean, I still eat meat, not a lot, but I eat just because I have no cholesterol issues, so it's not a problem. But, I still eat the occasional steak, but I would say I eat a lot more fish than anything else and some chicken. But I do have some sort of animal protein, probably just about every day. But as I said, and I have a lot less grains than I used to. I eat a lot of oatmeal. but I don't eat a lot of bread of any kind, very little. So I found that those sorts of carbs, I do better. I really do better without. I mean, the occasional bread's fine, but a lot of bread, not so much. Plus, I think it's also the older you get, the tougher time you're going to have with weight maintenance when you're eating a lot of carbs, not healthy carbs. So I try to keep mine in the vegetables, and I'll eat brown rice or wild rice, and I love avocados. And so, like I said, I think I eat just a healthy, balanced diet. Yeah.
Great. Love hearing that. Right. All right. So this is the toughest question of the day sometimes. Is there a question you wish I would have asked you? What did I miss?
Wow. I don't know. You have done a pretty good job. Let me think about that. You did have in here, and I'll go back and address that because you said something, I think in one of your questions, you said exercising smarter than you might have in the past. I think that's a really good question, and I'll tell you why. I think you do have to make adjustments as you get a little older. One of the problems that a lot of women develop, and I could see that I might, just because, again, I do have some of that arthritis issue, is the rotator cuff. And so actually, I had someone tell me, their doctor had said, be very careful about lifting weights above your head. And I thought, wow, okay, that's smart advice. I mean, not that you can't lift anything above your head, you need to, but you sure don't want any kind of real weight doing that. I haven't lifted a lot of weights all my life. Much younger, I would lift heavier weights, but in my working out with a trainer the last couple of years, we did do weights, but never anything real heavy, probably never anything over a 10-pound weight in any of my hands. So I'm very careful about that because, you have to be careful and you have to know your body, and you've got to adjust accordingly as to what you could do, what you can do and should do. I have to take really good care of my knees. I had to give up tennis ages ago because of my knees, but took up golf, which I love even more. So you do have to watch all of those things if you don't have the best joints, or like me, you have some version of arthritis. You kind of have to make adjustments there, but that doesn't mean you can't stay really, really fit and keep those joints really healthy. So it's just a modification in what I do. Yeah.
Love that. Great advice. Okay. Now we want to point everybody to reaching prime women. So
Right.
Audience listeners, this will be in the show notes, but the link will be Prime Women, and that's en.com.
Yes.
And anything exciting or juicy you want to share coming up?
Well, I would say when you go take a look, do subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. We are not going to sell your email address, I promise. And do subscribe, because you'll get in your inbox once a week. You'll get all the new articles. So it's kind of very handy, because you can kind of scan it and see which ones you like and see that. And that's great. I would say the biggest thing coming is going to be some of our partners that we're going to be bringing on. I think that's the exciting part, because in doing these city events, we're lining up sponsors, but I think we're going to start trying to get sponsors for all of our different verticals. And so I think we'll be doing some fun things with them, and like these events, it's just going to be great fun. So I think that's kind of new on the horizon, and adding more writers. I think we'll be growing that base dramatically. And any of your listeners out there, take a look. If you like to write, if you've got a specialty, or, whatever you're doing, particularly if you have some other business yourself and you would like to raise the profile of your business, this is a great way to do it, because we're getting a pretty good audience. So being linked to us or writing for us might really help you. And if you just like to write, we've got some writers, they just like to write. They don't have any other business out there. They just write, and they're great writers. So we would love to have you. You can just submit just drop me a note. It's Dorothy, Dorthy, at primewomen.com, or Ann, just ANN, at primewomen.com, and let us know. We'd love to get a discussion going with you about writing for us. So
fantastic. And everybody, if you're listening, keep walking or weight training, whatever you're doing, and you can come to the show notes and pick up those 2 email addresses as well. Great. Thanks so much, Dorothy, for your time and your wisdom. Loved having you here.
Thanks so much. It was a real pleasure to do, Deborah. Thank you.
And listeners, if I missed a question that you have, leave it below the show link at flipping50.com. All words spelled out, no numbers, no spaces. I love hearing from you. If this episode was helpful, please leave a rating in iTunes and then share it with a friend. Surround yourself with a supportive community of women on the same journey. To get the most from this week's episode, check out today's show notes at flipping50.com/podcast, where you're going to find the juicy free downloads, free resources mentioned on the show. And let's start Flipping 50 together.